Welcome to the Climate Newsroom. I'm Sonia Astudillo, Global Climate Comms Officer for GAIA. And this week's attention is still focused on Baku, Azerbaijan, where COP29 is taking place and finance, investment, and trade is currently on the table. Joining me is Janek Vahk from Zero Waste Europe, who will provide us a walkthrough of GAIA's call to action to shift from finance in the waste sector from harmful to impactful practices and that are community-led and based on the environmental justice principle and his insights on COP29 as the days progresses. So, Janek, how are you? Good.
Very good, actually. Yeah.
So, Janek, methane emissions from landfills are a significant contributor to climate change. Could you explain some of the reasons behind this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to landfilling, then this is directly linked to how we collect bio-waste. And unfortunately, bio-waste management faces really big challenges. And the big reason for that is that there's no really a fair level playing system in place to support it. So unlike other types of waste, bio-waste does not have a dedicated funding, such as, for example, extended producer responsibility program in Europe. And what happens is when the local authorities try to improve waste management to meet regulations, of course, the costs also heavily influence their choices. And unfortunately, cheaper options are adopted much more quickly than more expensive options.
How can financial incentives help reduce the global landfilling of organic waste, thereby preventing methane emissions from landfills?
So this is a very good question. We are running currently a project called BioBest in Europe. So we have consulted experts from 14 different European countries and developed recommendations for economic incentives to mainstream bio-waste capture and treatment, such as implementing, for example, adequate disposal and incineration taxes, and to ensure also that these refund those municipalities that perform well in terms of the capture and the purity of bio-waste collected. And here, what is really important is that we also address waste incineration, as it's crucial that we prevent so-called methane to CO2 swap. Um, you should know that in Europe, most organic waste is incinerated. Some of it is still landfill, but most of it is really incinerated. So we recommend targeting both incineration and landfilling in order to drive a high-performing bio-waste uh, collection and treatment system.
Janek. So the EU is considering including landfills in the EU emissions trading system scheme from 2028, in addition to waste incinerators. Could you explain why this inclusion is crucial for the EU to meet its climate goals and how it might influence waste management practices across Europe?
Okay, yeah, this is really exciting. It's been directly thanks to our work. So now the Commission has been tasked to study how to include incinerators and potentially also landfills in the European emission trading scheme. So basically, what it would do is it would penalize any kind of CO2 emissions from incinerators, and in addition, it would also generate revenue that could be invested into improving waste management. So it would make incinerators very, very expensive, and at the same time help us to reduce incineration capacities in Europe. And in the same way, it could also create an economic incentive to reduce methane emissions from landfills if you included also landfills. And we are already seeing some positive results in countries that have voluntarily included incinerators in the EU ETS. For example, in Sweden, projects are underway to sort waste before it's disposed. And these projects not only help prevent valuable materials from being burned, but also significantly reduce CO2 emissions.
There was an event at the Global Methane Hub Pavilion last November 12. Actually, we've had so many events already. So can you share us the discussion that happened there?
Exactly. So there have been a lot of events. So our event was very engaging event. We had a good debate about economic incentives and the benefits of diverting organic waste from landfills to composting and biogas. It took place at the Methane Action Pavilion. And there we shared insight from our bio-based project again. And as I said, this focuses on identifying and validating some of the best practices, how to manage bio-waste from the whole value chain, so from collection to treatment, to produce high quality compost and digest state. We also explored some economic case studies from Brazil and Indonesia. So we had colleagues from Instituto Polis and the Climate Policy Initiative that showcased some of the successful models from these regions. And finally, also the World Biogas Association introduced its Making Biogas Happen program, sparking some valuable discussions on the policy frameworks and standards that we need in order to expand biogas use globally.
Janek. So are there events happening today and tomorrow that you'd like our viewers to know?
Yes, there are many events happening, but I particularly recommend joining us tomorrow at the Meet and Action Pavilion at 2 o'clock to discuss the role of energy recovery from waste in reducing methane emissions. We will be covering issues such as energy access challenges, also technologies available to reduce emissions from landfills, but also some of the efficiency concerns, particularly related to waste incineration. And I personally would be presenting our recent report, which is titled Debunking Efficient Recovery, which looks into the performance of EU incineration facilities and really shows how the efficiencies are today, and they are actually very, very low.
I believe we also have a media briefing tomorrow with we don't have time. Okay, thank you so much, Janek, for keeping us updated on what's happening at COP. So please join us again tomorrow as we continue to track the progress for COP29 for latest updates and highlights from the negotiations and what Gaia delegations doing here. Be sure to follow us on social media. Find Gaia Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives on LinkedIn and YouTube, and Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives on Facebook, and Gaia Network on X. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you
Thank
again
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.